Welcome to Preparing for the Unexpected. I'm your host, Alex Fullick, and as always, we like to talk about things related to resilience and business continuity, and lots of other relatable subjects. We're going to do something a little bit different this week. We're going to air some episodes talking about resilience with my guest, Jason Haas. Hi, Jason.
Hey, Alex. Hey, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well.
We wanted to contribute to the BCI World's Business Continuity and Resilience Awareness Week. Unfortunately, all their webinars were full, and we still wanted to do something with them. So we thought we'd record a couple of our own and release them in conjunction with Business Continuity Awareness Week. Thanks to everyone at BCI for the Awareness Week. We're happy to give you this little extra bonus, and please don't hate us or send us any bad emails. We love working with you guys. Welcome back. Today we are talking with Jason Haas about personal resilience. Jason, great first segment there. A lot of personal stories being shared. We're going to change gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about divesting yourself of business ownership and what you went through with that.
Right. And yeah, this is an interesting one because this is a tale with two stories. One where it's voluntary, the other one when it's not. What does that look like and what does that mean? So we're going to start with more of the warm fuzzy at the voluntary standpoint. So, gosh, trying to think back a long time ago. If you look at my LinkedIn, you'll see it. So I think it was like early 2000s. Decided to start a business with other photographers. If you didn't know, my former career was photography. That's my degree. I specialized in building photographic labs and the infrastructure to support them, as well as mass image production. Fun stuff. If you ever want to know more about it, ping me. I'll talk your ear off. But so about the voluntary separation from business. So when we started this business, sometimes it takes amazing feats to get one off the ground. And this one was no different. It took 7 partners and varying amounts of funding to stand up a business. We were a vertical business, so we were both photographers and a photo lab. So we supplied ourselves with business and output. Wonderful, wonderful plan. And did that successfully for 15 years. And the business is still kicking away. I think it's 20 years now. Jeez. Anyways, so when you have a business with a lot of partners with different degrees of ownership, which gives them a different power to their vote, you get analysis paralysis. And we had infighting within the partners, lack of decision-making, meetings about meetings, all the wonderful things that will kill and poison a business and its people. So at one point, the partnership made a decision to start buying out partners. And we successfully did that, bought out 2 partners, another one retired. Not necessarily the way it needed to happen or should have happened, but it's the way it happened. I can't change the past on that, but I use that to inform my future. So as we were buying out partners and consolidating ownership, the infighting and bickering was still there. And analysis paralysis, meetings about meetings with the remaining partners. And that eventually just no longer worked with me. So it was right around a new year. I made the decision to tell my partners, I'm tired of this infighting and bickering and lack of decision-making. Who wants to buy me out? Because I'm done. So I had a partner buy me out on the spot, and they retained me for 5 more years beyond that. The moment where a partner bought me out was a huge relief of burden, knowing that I don't need to sit in these sucky meetings anymore and have more meetings about meetings and lack of decision-making, lack of accountability and things like that. We needed to mature all as individuals, and that only could happen with a smaller ownership group. So I divested myself from that. They retained me. I managed the lab and network operations, as well as did forecasting, all those wonderful things for the organization. Which then, when you go from an owner of an organization to an employee of an organization, that's a really something that you need to wrap your head around. You're no longer in that type of position of decision-making and authority. So you need to re-level set yourself. And I definitely struggled with that. And, but over the years, because I ended up staying, I think, an additional 5 years, before I had another opportunity in Colorado. Um, so what led me eventually to the voluntary part is not only did I voluntarily sell my shares and ownership in the company, but then I had a COO at the time, a chief operating officer, as an employee, pretty much paint the picture for me during the annual reviews saying, today is the best it'll ever be for you, both in role and in income. So they leveled me out. And the role I get, I was owner, I'm manager, things change. But to also cap the income ability as well, you pretty much took away any motivation for me and the why I'm there. So it was at that point where I started having discussions with a former companion in Colorado. I had known him for 20 some years through just a joint. We used one of his software packages in school pictures, and he had a business in Colorado, and he's looking to retire. So he had another partner already. He was looking to add a third, and we started talking about what that's looked like. Things moved really quick on that. And it came to the point where it led to my departure of my former organization, Network Photography. Great organization, by the way. It's the right partners in there now running it as it should be. And that business is blossoming. The lesson learned there, don't start a business with 7 people. It'll be hard to succeed. Don't do it. 3 is the max. Less is even better. And make sure you have varying amount of shares for who has voting powers. Because if you're 50-50, you'll always be at a stalemate. That's one of those lessons learned. But then that brought me to move out to Colorado with the hopes and prayers of being a partner in another photography business and a software business as well, developing software because I'm IT minded and focused and I love that kind of stuff, not from a programming standpoint, from a management standpoint. And, we had a 90-day agreement, a poison pill clause per se, saying if things didn't work out, any of us could blow this up. And I knew something was off. I saw plenty of red flags, but when, things are bliss, like ignorance, you ignore them. I'm in Colorado. My family's out here. Oh, I've always wanted to live here. Things are phenomenal. I'm in a business. I'm a business owner again. Ooh, life is great. And ignored those red flags. Like that first month I was there, my partner took like 3 weeks off. The guy who's supposed to show me the business because business operates differently in Colorado than it did in Wisconsin. The customer base is different. So that guy just up and disappeared. Went on vacation. And I'm left in this business that I'm unfamiliar with to run it to a point. The other partner wouldn't drive in from downtown Denver into the organization. He would talk to me only over phone or on rare occasions show up and grace me with his presence. So I was in limbo. It just wasn't a good thing, but you make the best of it and you buckle down and you figure it out. And I'm a guy who loves continuous improvement. So I was looking at processes and the way they were doing things and figured, you know what, I'll take some things from my previous business ownership and we can improve things and, decrease turnaround times, improve customer satisfaction, look at workflows and how we're storing data, how we're retrieving data, how are we using data, all those wonderful, wonderful things. So come 88 days in, I get blindsided. My partner says, calls me into his office, the one that shows up to work, not the one that's living in downtown Denver. And he tells me, we're changing directions and you're not part of it. And it just punches you right in the face. It is just unexpected, blindsided. And then he's like, Dan's on, we're going to want to edit that name out. Or we can throw him under the bus, whatever.
I'll find a way of getting rid of that name. Don't worry.
Yeah, or not. You know what? At the same time, he did what he did and he needs to own it. And again, the 3 truths, his truth, my truth, and the truth.
Yeah.
But there's truth in all of this. So, I talked to the other partner on the phone and, he mimics over the phone because I was also a part of the moving out to Colorado processes. This guy owned a ton of condos and he cut me a sweet deal for 6 months on a condo. We had a signed lease. When I'm talking to him over the phone and I remind him that I have a lease because he's trying to get me to vacate the property immediately. And I hear this over the phone. And that's him symbolizing tearing up the lease because it doesn't exist. Luckily, I had the wherewithal to register that lease with his management company because I knew he was doing things outside of the management company. And I didn't feel good about that. So I let him know that. And then he tells me I can't have dogs there. And I said, well, I have your handwriting and signature saying I do on that lease that's with your management company. So we're at a stalemate. You know, I'm hot headed because I just lost my whole reason for being in Colorado. Reason why I dragged my family from Wisconsin to here and sold the house in Wisconsin. And yeah, it was just a punch in the gut that day. So my pivot strategy, and today being an eclipse day, which this was recorded on 4/8, and this was the big solar eclipse of 2017, the totality in Colorado. Absolutely amazing, or at least one would have hoped. And for me, my remembrance of the day was piss and vinegar, to be nice. I just was not filled with happy feelings. I felt distraught. I felt like I failed myself and my family. I didn't know why I was asked to leave the organization. Still don't know why I was asked to leave the organization. All I knew is my purpose for being in Colorado ceased to exist, and we're back to a single income, which in a high rent area like Colorado is, it's a big challenge. And now knowing that we're going to lose our only housing that we know out here, that's also a big challenge. So I call up my cousin who lived in the area and headed over to her house, and knowing that she's one of my support systems. She helped through the alcoholism with my wife and coping with how to protect the kids and things like that from that situation, as well as now this next impactful incident, also all running in tandem, by the way. And it's not like one happened, then the other happened.
Right.
It's all happening. It just sucks. But so head over there, crack some beers on the patio to cope while we take in the solar eclipse. And I have an epiphany at that moment that I don't have to accept what's happening to me. It's happening, but I don't have to accept it. I can actually do something about this. So I found that inner voice, that growth mindset that allowed me to tell that inner critic to sit down, and its feedback isn't welcomed at the moment, and to know that there was a challenge in this. I realized that the partners that I had in Colorado never had my interests in sight, and that was evident with the tearing up of the lease and trying to evict me immediately when I had 6 months. To blow up a partnership without telling me why. Where did I fail? Did I fail? Did they fail? Somebody failed. Maybe we all failed. And I just realized that there was a great opportunity in this. I was free from the burden of being associated with people that I shouldn't trust, and now I have a reason not to. So I dug down deep that day, went home, told my wife, oh gosh, the anxiety and arguments and the tears that flowed from that. That was absolutely horrible, but it was a conversation that we had to have. And it was at that moment that I realized that I just need to grow. The only way I'm going to succeed is by pushing myself out of a comfort zone of being an introvert. I'm an introvert by design. Not a fan of huge crowds, public speaking, all that. They terrify me. But
Meeting you in person, you'd never know it.
right. But you should hear that inner voice. It's screaming and kicking and trying to pull me away. And sometimes it wins. When I was at DRJ just this past spring, sometimes I couldn't do anymore. So I would just, slink away and go hide in a darkened corner, find myself back into my hotel room, or figured out, the perimeter of SeaWorld as I walked around it, which by the way is like 2.5 miles. And I would just go do something to recharge myself, so I could interact with people again. And yeah, I use that to motivate me going forward. I pushed my own side hustle. I used to have a drone company doing aerial data acquisition and things like that, and I pushed that really hard and far. I did, freelance photography, teams and individuals, school pictures, things that I knew really well as part of my career, and I did that for others and advised people on photo lab setups and workflow efficiencies. And I did the best as I could until I couldn't anymore. And at that point, I found myself pivoting into a full-time job as a photographer in a marketing division for an RV company, which that led to the next impact. What was it, 6 months after I had that job? Workplace injury. I was on the back of a Class A RV, which is like a tour bus. I was going to photograph the assets on the roof because nobody had done that. And sometimes people are curious on what's up there. And the ladder failed. And I fell backwards 8 feet onto concrete, obliterating my right heel. And a trip to an emergency room later and the next couple of days gave me three options: amputate and have a prosthetic, let it heal in a halo as is, break it and reassemble it, or maybe, just maybe, we can put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Luckily, Humpty Dumpty was put back together again. My feet are two different sizes. I have hardware in there. It hurts to walk, and I can tell the weather patterns almost down to the minute. Um, and that ended also my career in photography. Yeah, it's just crazy. So the voluntary part is realize when you have too many partners, too many cooks in the kitchen, that is no longer serving the organization or yourself. Sometimes you just have to separate yourself from that. As much as I loved that organization, I miss it dearly. I wasn't the right fit for the partners that they have. The right partners are there right now, and I'm so proud of them. I still am in contact with them. It's still my baby. It's still my lab, still my workflow from when I started the business 20 years ago. I'm proud of myself for that. Good job, Jason. And the involuntary is be careful who you associate yourself with. Just because you think you know somebody for 20 some years doesn't mean their intentions are good or whole. Knowing that people are self-serving, that they can be backstabbers, that there's ulterior motives and reasons that you may never ever know, and that you might be the, you know, waste of their decisions, the outcome of their decisions, and they don't care about you. And these two never cared about me. So much to the point where I remember seeing one of my former partners from Colorado years after we separated. My other partner from Wisconsin was in town at a software convention, and I remember seeing the former partner, Colorado partner, come up to me, pat me on the belly, and ask me when I was due. And I hadn't talked to him since the day we separated, and that's how he treated me then, and that's how he treated me again. And I just realized that he's a piece of trash to me, and that I never ever want to see him, hear from him, or be associated with him ever again. So much to the point, I'd rather take the gap in my resume and explain my way around it than put that company's name on there, giving them credit for me. I've worked there for the brief amount of time I did.
Yeah. I was telling you in the break where my experience where I had to change because people weren't, there was one particular person who had no care in the world for employees or myself. When this is back in my hospitality days before I got into business continuity, I had the flu just terribly for 5 days. I probably should have gone to the hospital. But on day 5, I got a phone call from the general manager of the restaurant I was at, basically cussing me out because I wasn't in the office or in the restaurant really, wasn't helping out, and they're just treating me like garbage. And as I went to put the phone down, I said out loud to myself, I quit, and then clicked the phone. I slept for 48 hours after that. And when I woke up, I felt better, from the flu, but I also felt better mentally. I had broken that tether that had tied me to all this negativity and all these bad experiences, which I kind of didn't know was there, but part of me did know. And I cut that cord and I felt better. And I left the town where I was living, moved to a city just north of Toronto, felt better, met new friends, worked with a new company, and I went, this is much better. I feel so much better. And when I quit, back in those days, you didn't make very much money in hospitality. So, I was week to week, paycheck to paycheck. And here I was quitting my job. But I
Right.
had to. I would have cleaned chimneys. I don't care what it was. I was glad I got out of that and moved on.
Right. Yeah. Photography wasn't much different around pay. It's a hard game to be an employee of, and really the only way you earn is when you're the owner of. It's a play of volume, similar to realty. You don't make money off of a single home, you make money off of many homes. And when you're dealing with mass portraiture like school pictures, teams, and individuals, it's not about one league or two leagues, it's about hundreds of leagues. It's a
Yeah.
volume game. But similar to you, just when things part, it's that initial shock and awe, shock that it actually happened. It's an ego punch and a gut punch. But after that restful period, when you can come back with a level mindset, it's a blessing.
Yeah.
And I look at the same way. It was a blessing that it happened with my partners in Colorado, even though the outcome of it was horrible. We became really close to becoming unhomed.
Mm.
Without my wife, oh my gosh, and the performance of a lifetime, we're still in the same home that she had found when we were kicked out of the condo, when we were told we have limited time left. And, when you lose half of your income and you're reliant on another spouse, well, that leads to things like food insecurity. We were on
Yeah.
food stamps for a while because when you have to make choices, do I pay rent or do I put food on the table? You have to understand where your priorities are at that time. And it was paying rent. We needed a roof over our head more than we needed ample food on our table. So, choices were made, and that's just the path that we chose. And no fault to anyone. It's what got us through it at the time.
Yeah. If I didn't make that choice of quitting um, and moving, I would never have met my best friend, who I've known for over 30 years, who is the one who got me into this industry. So by me putting that phone down and within a week meeting him, I wouldn't be sitting here with you having this conversation.
It's hard to think this way, especially with the adversity you and I have experienced in our lives, but everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And you don't understand it at the time, and rarely do you appreciate it at the time. I know I didn't. And sometimes I'm still challenged with that appreciation. Like, I'm thankful my wife had alcoholism. Not really, but that outcome led to decisions being made and different outcomes that, to be honest, without that, I don't think I'd be here. I don't think I would be in a
Yeah.
place where I am today. The mindset that I have right now, the belief in resilience, personal resilience, and all the other resiliences in our profession. I
Yeah.
don't think I would be as prepared as I am today without it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. If you want things to get better, you have to have gone through the crap first.
Right? I'm
Other,
trauma informed.
yeah, because you're not learning anything. If it's always green grass, how do you know it's even green? You've got nothing to compare it to. You
Right, right.
nothing.
And it's always the challenges with resilience. And when I talk about my professional side of things is where I've never really been activated professionally. But personally, I'm activated every single day. There's always some sort of crisis that needs to be addressed, whether, it's food insecurity, becoming unhomed, or, financial burdens and things like that. There's always something there that is showing you why you need to really just double down and find that growth mindset so you can tell that inner critic to sit down because you've got work to do.
Yeah. Yep. Well, on that note, we've come to the end of our second segment on personal resilience with Jason Haas, and we will be right back. If you liked that video, thumbs up. If you didn't like that video, thumbs down. But leave me a message and let me know your thoughts. Of course, don't forget to subscribe. And in the meantime, stay prepared, everybody.